saddest thing in the world has got to be when you love someone and able to provide the love and support you need, and staying with them would be a form of suicide. It took all I had to leave him. Emotionally, he still has a part of me. A year of therapy to resolve something an honest conversation might have solved. And now I'm stuck with everything I didn't say, and he's not here to say it too. I've tried to pretend it didn't hurt as much as it did, searched all over this earth for a safe place, and I can't ask someone to give me back to myself. I keep searching inside, hoping to find an answer. Maybe he's my father. Maybe he's my mother. Maybe he embodies all the insecurity I ever felt, and that's why I keep coming back here. Over and over, I ask myself, is it love? But it isn't desire that brings me back here. It's the fact that he has a piece of me that I want. The pain to end, to belong to myself, and freedom to love someone who loves me back. I don't want any more illusions. No more men who appear powerful and underneath have the emotional life of a 2-year-old. I'm keeping the same standard for myself. I am aware and responsible for my life, and it's hard to believe that. I want to give my power to anyone, anything passing by, because I'm terrified to own myself. If we owned ourselves, we'd overturn this earth. There'd be no reason to destroy everything we are. But it's easier and safer to stay small. In Nicaragua, one man owned an entire peninsula, and all the food peasants picked belonged to him, which they had to after aching and sore muscles by back. When the Sandinistas revolted, some of the peasants were given their own land and machinery. But 7 years later, the machines were still sitting there unoperated because the people hadn't been taught how to take care of themselves. And in the 1800s, after that long war, some of the slaves went back to the plantation. Imagine being more afraid of freedom than slavery, constantly sabotaging and squeezing into places too small for your potential. And even though you know this, you can't stop, because slavery is all you know. They ask why. Why don't women leave lovers who abuse them? There is no land where we are free. I was not taught to honor myself. I'm painting a simple portrait. There are factors I haven't mentioned, like lovers who say they'll kill us, declare us unfit for our children, no money, no place to go. In India, women are encouraged to abort girl children. My mother was beaten so badly, the doctor said she died, and she stayed. But I'm making a promise to myself. As this earth is my witness, I'm going to be free. I won't have to stand here dragging these dead pieces of flesh, searching for a scrap of something to cover myself. And maybe you saw someone fall to the floor and asked God to take them out of this wilderness. Love somebody so bad, you stumbled out like a rag doll, dragged across the coals. When Harriet met John Tubman, he was the most beautiful man. Something about his hands, his feet, a back unscarred by slavery. Well, she dreamt they'd settle somewhere. Their lives were firmly entwined. But slavery infiltrated every aspect of their lives. Sometimes it disguised itself, but other times it stood in an obstruction to every effort. And Harriet tried to explain how Earth was an invitation, how if she never saw the Earth touch the trees, the sun would dry out of her eyes and she would die. But John saw himself as a bird without wings. Aren't I enough? He'd ask. And even though she left him in the dry dust of a summer day, she felt abandoned. The night Harriet left slavery, the wind spoke a strange song, an idiom without bass or baritone, the shrill sound of glass, a cry, as she crept up to each cabin and sang a spiritual. She looked over the landscape and remembered how God spoke to Moses through the burning bush. Tell Pharaoh. On Christmas, an old and dutiful slave is waiting for Harriet's visit, but her daughter has gone north. The night the blues gave birth to a paraplegic, a woman with no legs, the sound of cymbals, an earthquake all over the earth, wars by the same ills as their oppressors. The real revolution is changing myself. Harriet envisioned white women extending their arms, thought freedom was a luscious land. Something dramatic, like in the movie Roots, when Alex Haley crosses the river and upon seeing his ancestor says, "I found you." Finally found you. Or when Rocky defeats Apollo Creed. She must have been unprepared to accept freedom as a process, a precious thing that needs to be nurtured. Being willing to start from scratch, leave a warm wound for a world of winter, summer, fall, to live an unknown and ultimately go where I want. Thank you.